Ladies and gentlemen, welcome to the newest edition of AmiSights. I'm Ami Kisar, your host, along with our co-host, Lynn Ozer, aka SBA Queen. Today, I'm super excited to have my friend, Joe Trave on. Joe is one of the founders and managing partners and owners of Village Handcraft. They make the most incredible kitchens in the world. How's that for an introduction, Joe?
Thank you, Ami. You're too kind. Yes, we are friends. I'd like to admit we are friends, and we've been doing business together now for probably 15 or 16 years. I don't know how far back it goes, but I was blessed to have been given a referral to Ami in the great downturn of the recession in 2009. Which ended up saving our company. And today we have almost 100 employees thanks to Ami. So there are a few people in my life that I give credit to this way. And Ami was truly instrumental in saving this business.
Oh, it was a lot more than me, buddy.
So, listen, when
grit and determination. So.
When our bank when I needed an umbrella, it started to rain. The bank took the umbrella and you gave me a new one. So it got us through when we couldn't.
That's a great analogy.
Now, I said that to my banker in 2009. I said, so as soon as it rains, you take away my umbrella that you I have to fill out all this paperwork. You give me an umbrella in case, and then
in case it rains.
And then it starts to rain and you're like, hey, sorry, we need you out in 30 days. And, so it was,
wow.
Yeah. But so my taste, that it left a very bad taste in my mouth for bankers. But Ami was referred to me from a friend of his, and he had just been I think you had just started multi-funding.
We were pretty brand new, yeah.
And he got us an SBA loan from a bank in LA, I think, and out of South Korea. And, here we are 15 years later and almost 100 people. And hey, check this out, Ami. We are the third largest employer in Lansdale now from what I'm
Well, I love it.
Isn't that cool?
Let's backtrack a little bit. Tell us how it all started and tell us the origins and tell us just the story of the company and we'll dig in.
I would love to. So, I grew up in the restaurant business. Ami is aware of some of that. So I knew around 21 that I went to Votech in high school. So I'm a big proponent of technical education. So I always wanted to be a carpenter. I just had kind of I grew up in the restaurant business, thought, okay, well, maybe I'll take that track. Realized pretty quickly working nights and weekends now. So I can't, it's a tough racket. So I started a small woodworking business with my father's blessing in his backyard. And so he loved woodworking and he taught me woodworking. I had learned construction in tech school. So I kind of parlayed those two together. And next thing you know, I took a 8.5 by 11 piece of loose leaf and typed my phone number and name at the bottom and sliced it and hung it at Wawa in the gym. And I was like, I'm Joe. I'll do any woodworking you could send my way. So that kind of is how I started. I had a 20 by 20 shop and I thought that was my career path. Like I wanted to be Joe in this little wood shop when it's snowing and, have classical music playing. And quickly I realized that owner operator, somebody gave me the book, The E-Myth at that time. And it's a great book. And it talks about how an owner operator you can only do so much with these two hands, right? A baker, a chef, so to ever get beyond what your own limitations are, you have to scale a business. So I started to figure out, okay, I got to grow. So I spent about 2 years in my mom's backyard. Side note, my father had just been diagnosed with cancer. So this is 25 years ago. So I got to spend the last year of his life almost every day with him sitting in my shop, watching me work. And that was really awesome. So very cool. He unfortunately passed at that time. And so I got to spend another year with my mom at home by herself and just try to get her, back on her feet. And that was a blessing as well. So then I moved into a small business in Quakertown. So I found a gentleman through a group I'm involved with, NARI, which is the National Association of the Remodeling Industry. So started to network, and I like to talk. My wife will tell anybody that I could talk nonstop. So I was a good networker. So I met a guy that knew a guy that knew a guy that said, hey, this guy's looking to sell his business. He's got some old equipment, but he's got 5,000 square feet, and he's been building kitchens for the last 25 years. So I said to my brother-in-law, who was still in the restaurant business at the time, hey, you want to partner on this? I don't need help right now, but I needed a financial partner. So we partnered up. We bought out this little shop, and next thing you know, I go out on the road and start selling, right? This older gentleman who became a mentor of mine, Bob, he taught me the kitchen business, and I had already known woodworking, but kitchens are their own thing. There's a lot that goes into a kitchen, right? The work triangle, how workflow, that kind of thing. So I learned a lot more about building cabinetry and process flow through a shop. So spent from 2002, I think, in Quakertown to 2006. My brother-in-law, Gary, joined the business, and my sister, Jen, and my wife, Gina, all around the same time in 2004 or 5, I think. So then we really started to scale the business. So I think by the time we left Quakertown in 2006, we were maybe 10 people doing maybe $1 million in business. Took it from, I think when I took over Village Woodshop at the time, the assets of Village Woodshop, it was maybe doing 200,000, and then we scaled it to $1 million. Quickly outgrew 5,000 square feet, and we wanted to move a little closer to home and where our customers were. So we're in Lansdale. We took 23,000 square feet into 2006, and then 2006, 2007, and then 2008 hit, right? So we didn't really feel the down. So we were scaling the business. We were up to about 25 employees at the time, maybe doing $2 million in business. And so it was a nice little business, and we were starting to make a couple bucks, and then the downturn hits, right? And
can I interrupt for one
please.
second?
Yep.
You said when you bought the business in Quakertown, it was just you and your brother was the backer. So
yeah,
you didn't bring employees with you. So
no.
the first employees that you managed were from the company that you bought?
Yeah, there were 2 employees there, and they were skilled cabinet makers. So that really gave me,
yes,
the ability to go out to do what I do best, and that's design and sell. And they were building the product, right?
Okay, good. All right. I was curious how that part grew. Okay.
Yep.
And when you bought the family members in their jobs, they're not skilled cabinet makers.
No.
They were helping on the business end of the business.
Correct. So my brother-in-law was a very good manager. He ran some of our restaurants. And so he got to work really helping manage different aspects of the shop and our install department. And then Gina, my wife, she's a software designer by trade, software integration. So she came in, started a website, started SEO, marketing. Somehow she just, moved into that world. She's still our director of marketing. And Jen was, HR, back house, finance, payroll, so we all had our pieces of the business. And we still do. All of those roles are still filled.
That's great.
So yeah, and we get along most days, as best as we can. It's tough to work with your spouse. It's tough to work with your sister and your brother-in-law. But most days, we make it work because we stay in our lane. And I think that's the key. Ami's been in family meetings with us. It can, we're Italian. It can get a little fiery.
Bring out the Jägermeister.
Yes. So, yeah.
Well, family-owned business dynamics are always fascinating.
It's fascinating.
So, there's always going to be a story or two.
Yeah.
Your mother, rest in peace. I was afraid of her.
Yes. My mother was a tough cookie, man. And she was an absolute inspiration to me. And unfortunately I lost her about a year ago, but, so so we grew that business. The economy takes a real slide. We didn't feel it really until about 2010, like 9 and 10 it started, but by 10 it really got bad. And so I remember having to lay people off, like, I mean, it was just horrible. It was heart-wrenching, right? People that needed their jobs, and we were really struggling just to hold on. That somehow we connect. A client of ours, we were doing a kitchen. I'm there doing a walkthrough. This guy was an Havana guy. He said, "You got to talk." I was telling him my story. He's like, "I'm in finance." I said, "F banks, you know, they pulled my loan. I'm on my own here. I'm trying to figure it out and trying to hold this business together." And he's like, "You need to talk to a friend of mine, Ami." And so I connected with Ami like the next day, and I think, Ami, correct me if I'm wrong, at that time it was you, right? It was just you.
Pretty much.
Yeah. And so Ami came in, talked to us, understood our problems, and said, "Let me see what I can do. This is a good American-made product. Let's see if we can, get you the financing you need." Literally, it was like, it was and Ami, I'm not doing this because I'm on the AmiSights, but it truly was like, it gave us new life, right? We got that loan. I think we were weeks away from closing, truly, and laying the last 20 people off. And so there's pivotal times in your business. There was another one where I met a guy that helped. He was a small kind of consultant that helped me get out of my mom's backyard and get to that first shop in Quakertown. There's always pivotal, crossroads, and that was one. And Ami getting us that financing when we really needed it, and no one was financing construction related work at that time. I mean, no one. So we were tied in clearly with construction, and we still are, right? So and we're feeling some of those same crunches right now.
But I have to interject.
Please.
That's the beauty of working with multi-funding, is you needed someone to lend you money then, and the financing was not in your backyard. And that's
Correct.
why Ami was so instrumental, because he knew lenders that weren't in your backyard. That's the whole point of knowing lenders all over the country who have
Correct.
different appetites at different times. And congratulations to both of you.
Yeah.
I'm very happy.
It is.
Maybe you can chime in there.
Yeah, it is interesting that we are now in this economy we're starting to see lenders go weird again.
Yep.
Yeah.
And which is often an indication of a pending recession, although I don't want to say that. But we're starting to see lenders go cuckoo again. The difference between now and then, though, Joe, is rates are almost double today what they were when you were going through this.
Right.
And so in a typical, I think we refinanced you, right?
Yep.
And I think we actually improved your cash flow, if I remember. But,
by a good deal. I mean, because rates were really,
right,
very favorable at the time.
The challenge today about debt restructuring is that it's much harder to improve cash flow.
Sure.
Because rates are higher. And we digress. This is not about us and rates. It's meant to be about you and your story. What's going on today in the business?
All right. So we so to kind of round out what we were saying about, so 2006, we moved to Lansdale. We had 23,000 square feet. In 2017, things started to really ramp up again in 2012 and really hit our stride in 14, 15, 16, 17, 18. It just skyrocketed, right? I mean, we just, I don't want to get into a political conversation, but the golden years I felt were 16 to 20. We were, the tax laws that were changing, we were buying equipment, we were growing. I mean, we had so much potential, and then COVID hits, right? So we had just moved into a new shop about a mile away. We'd taken 50,000 square feet, and we were going to move. And that process took much longer because of COVID. So we had a showroom and a shop about a mile from here. And again, 3 to 25,000 square feet. We are now in about 65,000 square feet and looking to eventually take more space. Just depends on this market. So here we are. We're, you know, in the $14 to $15 million range of revenue, trying to scale this business over the next 5 to 10 years to, you know, I have a goal of around 30 million. So to double it. And I feel it's doable. You know, there's days where I feel it's more doable than others. I'm very involved in the Kitchen Cabinet Manufacturers Association. So it's a national association. So I understand what's happening nationwide with cabinets, right? And woodworking and, you know, the market itself. So I feel I'm still somewhat bullish, you know, but it depends on how I think things go this fall. Rates are affecting our business because our clientele, so we work in the high end of the market to the ultra high end of the market. So that clientele typically is not as leveraged. They're not leveraging something to build this home. You know, they're spending $5 million on a home. Oftentimes that's, you know, they're cashing in some stocks or something like that. So with the market being stable, people still seem to have liquidity to do these projects, but I can tell the difference over the last year in sensitivity to pricing. So, you know, we're bidding work all day to high-end designers, architects, builders. And what we're seeing this year is clients, most of our projects are 100,000 to 300,000 for a whole house of cabinets, right? So we'll just do a kitchen as well for $30,000 or $40,000. But typically now we're being engaged by a builder, say in New York, and we're doing that whole house. When I give that bid of 250,000, which 4 years ago would have been 170, right? So inflation, right? 30 to 40% inflation. So customers' appetite, regardless of how much money they have, they're starting to look at it and say, "Oh man," because think about it. I'm just one line item in the build of that house. Everything along every subcontractor, every piece of material is up 30% to 35% over the last 4 years. So that equates to square foot cost to build a house now is somewhere between $300 and $600 a square foot. When it used to say, $150 a square foot to build a house, $200 on the high end. I mean, those days are gone. So the average kitchen remodel, you know, if we go into a Toll Brothers house and do a kitchen remodel, it used to be like 75 to 125 is what we would tell people for a whole remodel. That's flooring, you know, lighting, plumbing, cabinets, countertops, general contracting. Now you're telling people, listen, it's 100 to 200,000 for a kitchen remodel. And that's a big undertaking, right? That's a huge investment. Now we believe it's a good investment because, you know, real estate, you can't really move. I mean, with interest rates, there's no inventory. So I know I'm talking a lot, but there's a lot.
That's what you're supposed to do.
There's a lot going on in this market, and it's very volatile right now because, you know, building starts in May. I'm also involved in the Home Builders Association. They dropped like 7 or 10%. So from April. So builders are really starting to build less homes when at a time when the country needs as many homes as we can build, right? Because we're at a 4 to 5 million home shortage in the country, but consumers can't afford it, right? So the average home price right now is $419,000 in the country. And salaries have not, you know, yes, they've gone up 30% over the last 3 years, but they're not up. They're not double what they were 20 years ago, right? So
And the prices are more than doubled for that.
Easily. So, I mean, I know because my daughter's looking for a home and it's just unaffordable, right? So it's a real conundrum. I'll give you some insight though, because we're on AmiSights. The HBA, I'm very involved in Bucks Montgomery, but even the national, this 5 million home shortage is because of the Great Recession. So starting in 2006, builders got just decimated. So I think we went from, and there's graphs that show this national HPA. 2005, we were building 1.2 million homes a year in this country. And that was the pace we needed to keep up with population growth. It dropped down to like 400,000 in 2008, right? So over that 4-year period, there's a 5 million home deficit that we never recovered from. So as you can see, there's not enough homes for people, especially affordable homes for people to live in. So that's what's driving this supply and demand issue. And the cost is just, hard to contain. So I know we're in a complex conversation of geopolitical kind of, discussions, but it's a challenge. And I don't know if there's a simple answer.
Yeah.
I have a question about your business. Besides the cost escalation, have you pivoted from individual homes to, you said you were working like with Toll Brothers, to
Wow.
business to business sort of thing instead of business to retail, or you didn't?
So we don't work for Toll Brothers. We can't, like, our product is too expensive for a Toll Brothers home, right? So, but we have about now 300 accounts. And our accounts are typically B2B. So we're selling to designers, kitchen designers, home builders, architects.
Got it. Yeah.
We do still sell about 20% retail. I know a guy on this podcast that has done a kitchen with me. So. But yeah, we still do some retail. But most of our work is now by referral through the trade. And that's how I built it. I made a very conscious effort in 2005 that if I'm going to scale the business, I need to go after the source. And the source is usually the designer or the builder or the architect.
Right.
They're the ones saying to the homeowner,
this is
I've used Village, right? They take care of it. Just go there. They'll do the whole process for you.
Right.
And to be honest with you, like with SEO and trying to drive sales to a retail, it's very expensive to get in front of, the mass market, right? Pay-per-click, all of that's very expensive. And we don't want to be chasing leads. I did home shows back in the day, like I used to sit home shows for a week at a time.
Ugh.
And it was a lot of tire kickers and a lot of people that weren't really our clientele. And so it was chasing leads. So now when I get a lead from a builder, I know that's a solid lead.
Got it.
So, and quite honestly, we have enough business to continue to grow. I mean, I have plenty of incoming requests for quotes. What we're seeing today is just that I don't have to quote it one time. I have to quote it 3 or 4 times to get to a number that client is like, okay, I feel comfortable here, but we need to stay there on that number. And I said, well, you need to be careful of over designing, because.
Do you have to put cost escalation clauses in your contracts because are prices on your materials still rising?
No, so
rapidly or not as much?
The material cost from about 2 years ago finally maintained. We never went back. I mean, it dropped back to a place that was about 30% above pre-pandemic, numbers. But we were at a place in 2021 where it was double. I mean, it was insane. And then not only was it double, I couldn't even get it. I'd say I need 2,000 sheets of plywood. They'd say, we'll give you 200.
Right.
So then I couldn't fulfill orders. The supply chain thing, that all resolved itself. But overall, I'd say we're in a good place right now. I hired my first salesperson ever. We have designers on staff, but I needed another me out there telling the world about Village. So he's starting very soon, and we're excited about that. He'll call on builders and architects outside of our region, in DC and Boston.
That's what was going to be my question. Do you only sell regionally?
No, like we sell wherever our clients are willing to have us ship their products. So we have a lot of work right now in Denver. We have work in Florida. We have work in, we've been working on Nantucket for maybe 10 years. So that's always been a good market for us, because it's, again, you follow where the price point of a home can justify
The price point of the kitchen. Got it.
Yes. Yeah.
Yeah.
So, yeah, so that's what we're doing. And
Great.
one cool thing is now that we have this new facility, over the last year and a half, we outfitted our experience center. So when you come here, we feel we have one of the best, I would say, experiences that you could have. You come into our showroom and you can see every room of the home. You can see a kitchen, a mudroom, a library, a family room, a wine room, a bar, bathrooms, laundry room. So then you can walk through that, see all these cool things, open up cool accessories, clothes drying racks and really cool stuff. And then walk down this long corridor to where the magic's made. And you can see it being made by human hands. And these people that work here are passionate about what they do. They're amazing craftspeople. And I'm passionate about it. So I love showing it off. It's very cool.
That's great. Do you have trouble finding craftsmen?
Yeah, it's tough, but Bucks and Montgomery County, especially Bucks County, is well known for craftsmanship. So we have partnered. I went to North Monco Technical Career Center. We've partnered with them as well as Middle Bucks and Upper Bucks Technical Career Centers, and we have a really nice channel of young craftsmen coming out, and this is cool stuff. It's kind of an easy sell to an 18-year-old that is passionate about woodworking to say, we're building some furniture and cabinets that are going to be around for generations. Like, you get the opportunity to work on some of the coolest houses. We work for celebrities. We work for sports athletes.
Yeah.
So it's pretty cool. And if I was 18, I'd be like, yeah, sign me up. We're building awesome stuff here. We're not banging 2-bys together. Not that there's anything wrong with that, but these are cabinet makers. They're not carpenters.
And there's a big difference.
We'd like to think so as cabinet.
There is.
Don't tell a carpenter I said that. But
I hear
So
you.
what are the biggest challenges you're facing today?
All right. Challenges, I'd say, are truly economics driven. My plan was to scale this business at 15% per year to get to my goal in 2032, 2033. I'm 50 years old this year. I'm like, I've got this 10-year plan. I've kind of got it all the math figured out. I'd like to retire, or at least semi-retire at 60, and maybe stay on in a board position. We just established a board. We're talking maybe ESOP. We do have private equity, people that have reached out. But I'd really like to see this company continue into the future. My kids are not, we've made a conscious effort to not have children in the business because family business is difficult and it's tough on a family. So we didn't want that. And so my challenge right now is, how do I get that 15%? I'm not seeing it right now. I'm probably down 6% from last year. So, and it's like, man, I'm fighting just to hit that number. And whereas 2 years ago, I was sending out quotes and people were just sending checks. It was like, here's $50,000. Please start. Just get me on your calendar. Now it's much more of a, massaging of those clients and making sure they feel comfortable, which it's back to normal, right? This is kind of back to a normal business environment, which is, you have to be on top of your game. And I tell my staff, we have to be on top of our game and we have to be better every day. We're always trying to be better than we were yesterday. All I can do is be a better Joe, and everybody else along the line has to be better. So challenge wise, other than that, I don't think staffing, although it is still tough to finding a good designer that can also talk to clients, that doesn't want to work full-time remote. Like, I need my design team in-house, because this whole work from home thing really is tough on us, because my factory staff, all 50 of them, they can't work from home. And then they get kind of bitter and they're like, well, where is so-and-so? I can't talk to her. Oh, she's working from home. And they're like, well, it must be nice. I can't work from home. So I'm trying to get most of them back. It's been a little bit of a struggle. That's one struggle. I I think right now we brought in a new controller, Ami. So that has been a challenge. We're trying to up our financial game and really have clear financials. Our P&L was iffy. You know, we're really dialing into the business now. We hired a COO, so that was a big step for us, for Gary and I. We hired a guy who has an operations background. He worked for Anderson Windows and a couple other large manufacturers. So he's brought in higher level thinking from a factory standpoint. So we feel we can scale the factory. Now I need to scale the sales and have the proper financials in place to make sure we're making and losing money. We're making money and not losing money just by selling more stuff.
Right.
So,
so I do think, listening to what you're going on, I believe, here's my very unprofessional opinion about what so many of us are going through. I call it COVID dominoes. Right now, inflation shouldn't be a surprise to anybody.
yeah.
We printed literally,
Really.
we and other governments around the world printed trillions of dollars to keep people alive, to keep people off unemployment lines, to keep banks solvent, et cetera, et cetera, et cetera. Now, there's no doubt in my mind we overcorrected by some percentage, whatever percentage it was, but it beat undercorrecting. So when people bitch to me about, they go to the supermarket and it's so much more expensive now, I go, are we alive?
Yeah. Yeah. What did you expect, right?
What did you expect? And yes, the spending spree was also used to clean up a lot of stuff and a lot of past sins and stuff. And the government was printing money. It was a free fall. It was a free fall in both administrations.
Absolutely.
Okay. But at some point that has to be paid for. And we're starting to, one of the ways we're paying for that now is with inflation and higher rates. And then when you talk about, and we're seeing it in our business, okay, it's harder to get shit done.
Oh, is that you're seeing that now?
Yeah, I mean, not just picking banks, but people are shopping around rates harder and harder and harder to try to find the best possible rate. And same with every business I know is struggling to figure out this work from home stuff. It's tricky.
Yeah.
And so I just think that, and the hardest thing as entrepreneurs is to keep our head up high and ride through it and push through the waves and just assume it's going to be okay. Because I figure if the world blows up, it's not going to matter anyway. So
Correct. It's not. I mean, I think emotional strength and resilience is the most important thing we can have as entrepreneurs. And I'm not going to blow smoke right now and tell you I have it every day, but I have all these things around my office, and like, I'm a big time, Catholic, and, I have things that I rely on, prayer and meditation, and just to dial in and kind of clear out all the noise and just go inward and say, I have the strength to get through this. Right.
It's not easy. And the only other thing I would say, and I say this all the time, except you think this happens to everybody else but you, it never goes in a straight line.
No. I think one of my big questions as an entrepreneur is, did I make the right decision? Right. I see a lot of friends that have very good jobs in large corporations, and they have a lot of time off, and I have very little time off, and I work a lot. And sometimes I get frustrated, and I'm like, did I make the right call? But I think for me, I enjoy being in front and leading the drive. So I've assumed that role as a CEO and as a driver, rather than being in a seat on the bus. Not that there's anything wrong with being on that seat. It's just, I think for me, I don't know if I would be as fulfilled if I wasn't leading the charge.
Right.
So
I get it. It's likely our call, right? It's our calling. Like
and there's days when I'm like, this is terrible and I can't do it one more minute. But there's other days that I get an email from a client that says, you guys like you hit it on every cylinder, and that fires me up. And I said, let's go to battle again. Let's keep going. Let's just keep going. So
Yeah, you don't really have a choice. When you're on the, I mean, you have a choice for everything, but
I'm not a big reader, but I do a lot of podcasts, and I follow a lot of guys that are ex-military, Navy SEALs, Rangers. The one thing in my life I wish I did was serve, and I didn't, but they all say the same. It's mental toughness is way more important than physical toughness. You have to be mentally strong to get through difficult times. And I mean, I had a cash flow issue 3 days ago, and I'm like, I got a lot, people aren't paying. I got, mentally it can wear on you. So you have to be strong and be like, okay, I can get through this. What do I got to do? Go to work, figure it out. Who am I going to call? And it's like, I was on the road yesterday picking up a check from a builder because he's like, hey, I'm still doing whatever it takes. Right.
It's crazy. So it's just part of the process and part of the game. And if it just becomes part of your blood, it just becomes part of your DNA.
Yeah.
It's all crazy.
My family's like, you can be a lot. Like when I get home, I'm a lot, because it's hard to just turn that off. Right. It's very hard.
Very difficult.
And I remember talking with Ami about this, and it's not easy, but I don't know if I'd want it another way. I don't. I'm probably, my mother, Ami, you brought up my mom, and I guess we're wrapping up here soon, but she was instrumental. She lost a leg and kept working, and she's like, I'm going to keep driving. And I'm like, Mom, you're 80 years old. You can't drive with one leg. She's like, damn you, I'll drive. She had her minivan converted to hand controls, and she's driving to work at 82 years old. I'm like, what are you? She's like, I'm not quitting ever. I love working. So,
God bless her.
Yeah.
When she used to scare me with that stick, I thought she was going to hit me with it once or twice. So.
Good, man. If you're
retirement
too slow,
isn't for everyone.
It's, and I don't ever see myself fully retiring. I say retirement, but that might mean consulting or, diving into another business, or I tell a lot of people I'd like to be a bartender at the beach someday. So, because I like to talk to people.
So share a little bit about your journey in EO and how that's hopefully helped you.
Yep. So thanks to Ami again, he connected me with EO, Entrepreneur Organization. And I have a fantastic forum. For those of you that don't know, EO is a group of generally CEOs or entrepreneurs that get together once a month in a process called forum. And that's usually 8 to 10 people. I have a wonderful forum of business owners with different challenges. What I really love about EO, and I've looked at Vistage as well, and I've looked at other groups, but EO is a combination of business challenge and life challenge. And as an entrepreneur, your business and life are intertwined. And that's what EO really is so amazing with. Like, we've gotten into deep, I hate small talk. I don't want to talk about the weather or what you had for dinner last night. I want to understand, what is the challenge between you and your daughter, and why is she mad at you? And like, how like that to me is what we all relate to, where it's like relatable challenges that we have in life. So EO is such an amazing forum for a guy that's coming in and he's crying because him and his wife are about to split up. And I'm not saying that's happened in my group, but that type of thing, and say, how can I share my experience to help you get through it? Because I've been through challenges as well. And like last month at Forum, and I'm not supposed to share, but they challenged me with, how am I going to get off my plateau? I came into the forum and I said, listen, I'm struggling. I'm on this plateau for 3 years and I can't seem to get off of it in our business. And they said, all right, well, have you tried this, and this? This worked for me in a way to look at options to get off this plateau and get the thing running again. And they gave me options that I then the next day said, because I make notes, and I started calling maybe an acquisition, maybe an in-house salesperson, which I ended up doing. So it challenges you, right? And because they're all in different businesses and they have had different challenges. I really enjoy Forum. There's months when I'm like, am I getting everything out of it? And then I go to Forum and I leave and I'm energized because somebody helped me or I helped somebody else. And you can just sometimes just crap on the table with all your head trash and you're not alone. You know,
group therapy.
It is truly group. It's group therapy. I love it. You know, Ami teamed me up with an amazing guy who's become a mentor as well as Ami, Eric Griffin, who, you know, when there's guys like him and he's got a great company and he was the one that hooked me in. When you hear about his growth and how he took his business and how challenged he was during COVID and pivoted, and then boom, it goes in this direction. Next thing you know, he's, you know, got all kinds of options and his business is blowing up. So that kind of thing inspires me. I'm not a sports guy at all. I don't watch any sports. You know, I'll watch the Eagles game on Sunday or something like that, but I like business, right? So to hear business is a game, really. It's you know, it's a game of chess or checkers. And I enjoy hearing those stories because, you know, I can relate.
I love it.
Great.
Joe, fantastic. Where do people find you? Where do they see examples of your amazing work?
So the best place to find us is on Instagram. We're approaching 10,000 followers, which is really been amazing to see our Instagram following grow. I have a goal of 100,000 in the next year and a half. I don't know how we're going to do that, but we drive a lot of traffic from Instagram to our website, and then people end up finding us from all over the country. So you'll see amazing work on our Instagram. That's village_handcrafted. Also villagehandcrafted.com. We're on Facebook. But this has been amazing, Ami. I hope I didn't talk too much, Lynn.
No, far be it from me. I loved hearing your story.
Right.
It's great. It works better for us when you're willing to talk. It makes our job easy.
In grade school, they said I had diarrhea of the mouth.
Yeah.
Oh,
I found it very interesting and informative, and I
Thank
appreciate
you.
your.
I hope it was.
You're being so open with us. It was great.
Yeah, and that's it. I'm all about being open. There's why hide it, right? I was at an event last night out networking, and people want to say, "Oh, what an amazing business you built." I said, "Do you know how hard it is?" And they're like, because most people don't want to talk about the challenges. They just want to, you know, tout how great it is. It's hard. It's hard every day, you know, but
not easy, man.
Yeah. So
Joe, it's been a treat. Thank you so much. Keep up the fight. I hope to
thank you all. All right. I appreciate it.
Hey, take
Thank
care.
you so
All right,
much.
take care.
Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Bye.